Welcome to part 3 of this series on Black dolls. If you are new to this series, I encourage you to first watch the intro video tagged below for context. I'd also like to warn that if you're easily offended by discussions about our unfortunate history in regards to slavery, and if you love Raggedy Ann but you don't want to hear about her part in all of this, now would be a good time to scroll on. In her book, Racial Innocence, Performing American Childhood from Slavery to Civil Rights by Robin Bernstein, she describes racial innocence as a form of deflection, a not knowing or obliviousness that can be made politically useful. Bernstein writes that from the mid-19th century through the early 20th century, ideas and anxieties about racial slavery flowed as a steady, ominous undercurrent through doll literature and through the physical properties of specific dolls. Dolls, as signs of childhood and property of many children, create proximity between the idea of childhood and the racial project of determining who is a person and who is a thing. Thus, dolls tucked racial politics beneath a cloak of innocence. One such instance is Connecticut's own Raggedy Ann. In 1915, Johnny Gruelle, the newspaper cartoonist who created Raggedy Ann in Norwalk, Connecticut, espoused racial egalitarianism, but he loaded Raggedy Ann as both a doll and a character in 36 children's books with blackface imagery. The story known to most about how Raggedy Ann came to be is how one day Gruelle's daughter Marcella found her grandmother's faceless rag doll in the attic, brought it to Gruelle who drew a face on her, and she was named Raggedy Ann. But as Bernstein explains, Gruelle styled Raggedy Ann after the minstrelized role of the scarecrow performed by the blackface star Fred Stone in L. Frank Baum's 1903 staged extravaganza based on The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Gruelle also drew on the performances of stage Topsies and the British Golly Doll, which were based on American minstrel performances. Raggedy Ann was a racially saturated character. Her white skin represented not racial whiteness, but rather the complicated black and whiteness of the face-painted minstrel performer, and her stories imagined faithful servitude to her mistress, a human girl named Marcella, as free play and fun. According to Bernstein, dolls provided especially effective safe houses for racial ideology because dolls are emblems of childhood that attach, through play, to the bodies of living children. A doll's ability to appear innocent was understood by the Confederate military, which recruited white girls to act as smugglers. Confederate soldiers stuffed dolls with quinine, calomel, and morphine, and white girls held these dolls and passed by Northern soldiers unchallenged. This literal, conscious act of smuggling drugs to support the system of slavery was possible only because dolls, the childhood they reference, and the girls holding the dolls contained historical memory while performing innocence and performing obliviousness to history and to race. Dolls are crucial props within the performance of childhood because they are contrivances by which adults and children have historically played innocent. Dolls have, for more than 2 centuries, been understood as the defining feature of girls' culture and a metonym for girlhood itself, by considering dolls not as objects or texts containing racial meanings, but instead as things that script a repertoire of behaviors.